Welcome, everybody, to the eXperience. I am here with John Schuchman. I am so excited to have you on today and hear your story about real estate, how you got into real estate, your journey coming to eXp, because you're obviously with eXp. So I would love to kind of dive in and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, well, Michelle, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I'll kind of give like a few years summarized in hopefully 2 or 3 minutes. So I basically got into real estate 5 years ago, and until then, so that was when I was about 30, 31. Until that, I basically, from the time I was 16, had every job in the world. Never really stuck. And I always tell people, like, I wasn't sleeping with the boss or stealing money from the cash register, but I'm like a dreamer, a visionary. And so I was not very good at like just
Being an employee?
like, well, I mean, like following orders. Like, I mean, I remember working at a bank for a period of time, and I love the people that were there. And I remember my assistant branch manager emailing me and said, "Can you email this person?" And I remember thinking, like, did you just email me to ask me to email someone? Like, so anyway, it's kind of like that. So real estate, when I finally got into it, I couldn't keep a W-2 because I'm a dreamer, I'm a visionary. And some of those jobs don't want that. They want you to just like do what they tell you to do and not ask questions. And that was not for me. Got into real estate 5 years ago, spent 3 years at a different brokerage, came to eXp, changed my life. And I've grown my business. So I did about 10 million in volume in 2024, about 27 units, all through organic social media. Coming up here, so we're recording this in February. Coming up by June, I'll be an icon agent. I got about 4 deals to go, so that'll be great.
Awesome.
And eXp's, yeah, I mean, if you're out there listening to this thinking like, hey, maybe eXp makes sense, like you've heard all the bad, like you haven't heard like the good. Like, I think it has completely changed my life. The rev shares changed my life. I have about 40 agents under me, maybe closer to 35. And it's just been a wild journey. All of my business. So people always, when they talk to me, want to ask, like, okay, you did $10 million in volume in the worst year in real estate in 30 years. How'd you do it? Organic social media. And then they'll be like, okay, what else? Organic social media. That's it.
One focus.
And one focus. And again, I don't care if every single platform disappears tomorrow, a bomb goes off and the platforms are all gone, but I still have Facebook. I'm good. I don't care. So I train, I now get to teach and train people about social media. And so often it's, well, I'm going to start here. One singular focus. And we can get into this at some point. I've also posted basically every day for a year. Consistency works. I get about 100,000 views a month. So yeah, wow. we can go wherever you want to take that.
Yeah. So when you were with your previous brokerage, what made you kind of start seeking another opportunity? What did that look like, and why did that happen?
So in my group at eXp, the Wolfpack, my sponsor's name is Jeremy Kane. Jeremy, okay, so I was in this real estate mastermind group on Facebook. I put out that I was doing free social media audits for anyone that was interested. And so Jeremy got on one of these calls, and I literally started it by saying, if you're here to talk about eXp, I don't want to talk to you. Like, don't even waste my time. Now, he knew what he was doing, but here's what is interesting. Jeremy then stayed in touch. Jeremy joined my membership community about organic social media. Jeremy served, like when I was away this past week at a conference, Jeremy led the call. And so I saw something different in Jeremy that I said, wait a second, like maybe all those eXp agents are not scumbags, right? We are taught when you're outside, you're taught all they do is recruit. They don't sell houses. Like, it couldn't be further from the truth. But I just think like how there's bad pastors, bad police officers, bad whatever. Like, one or two bad agents ruined it for all of us.
Yeah.
I have an agent that's thought about coming over, and she's like, well, eXp has a bad reputation where I live. And I'm like, and you could be the person that changes that. One or two agents are giving it a bad reputation. So I thought about it. I considered it, prayed about it. Like, really, it came to a head where I realized I paid my brokerage $35,000 to $35,000 in commission in 2021 or 2, whatever it was. And I was like, holy crap. And I was at a 90-10 split. They convince you that, like, this is such a good setup, 90-10. You can't beat that.
Maybe we were at the same brokerage.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that offline. But here's the deal. outside, I don't care. So here's the thing, realtors, here's what you need to know. You do not care what the split is. I don't care if it's 10-90, 50-50, 90-10,
70-30.
80-20. I don't care. What do you pay them in a year? And I was at a 90-10, so I was at a really good split. But then you had the 6% franchise fee, the broker fee, all these things, $30,000 to $35,000 a year. And Jeremy at this time was just serving, connecting, and I said, this is interesting. And it's funny, I'll just kind of share quickly for your audience, maybe a long answer to the question. I was at an event last night, and this guy's like a hardcore recruiter for KW, and he's like, hey, we should grab lunch. And I'm like, I'm totally willing to grab lunch. I'm just letting you know I'm never leaving. And he goes, okay, that's okay. And then we just talked, and I built a relationship and just told him about what I'm building, why I like eXp. We were just talking, and he's talking about why he's at KW, and they're both great companies for various people for various reasons. And he said at the end of that, he goes, you're the first like eXp agent I've genuinely liked, because I didn't try to recruit him.
Yes.
I just built a relationship. I don't care. The people will join you, right? You, Michelle, myself, when it makes sense, you will join us. And if it doesn't, that's okay. Yeah, I really think, here's the thing. We are all going. Here's what you guys need to know as you're listening to this. You are going towards a virtual brokerage, whether you like it or not. One day you will be at a virtual brokerage. So here was my thing, Michelle, honestly, like when I really came to the point, and I'm sorry for the long answer.
No worries. People appreciate it.
I thought about it, prayed about it, talked to my wife, and I kind of said, so in Lancaster, in Lancaster, PA here, there was no one that had more than 3 people on a team at eXp. Not a lot of them were crushing it. And I said to her, I'm like, I feel like I have to try this at least once. And I don't want to be trying to grab the eXp Realty caboose, leaving my town that is now like taken over, right? I want to give it a try. And I said, and I hope you trust me. And I believe that my business, like all of you realtors listening to this, your business is you. KW, eXp, XYZ, ABC to EFG. Nobody really cares, because when I left my previous brokerage, people said, well, where are you now anyway?
Yeah, nobody actually cares, and they don't even know.
Nobody cares. So I said to my wife, and I had done the math. Only 10% of my business worked with me because of the big maroon box, right? Like, and so I said, I believe I can do this. I want to try it, and if it means the John Schuchman eXp train flies off a cliff in a year, and I have to go back to a traditional brick and mortar, I will do it. But I want to try it. Yep. And I had never done over $5 million before eXp. Did 7 in 2023. I keep saying last year, but now I did 7 million in 2023, almost 10 million in 2024. And it's just wild. So and now here's the thing. I have 15 agents within an hour of me that joined me. So it wasn't eXp, right? It was, and again, eXp is amazing. They just love what I teach to the organic social media and those kinds of things. And so if you're out there, talk to Michelle, because here's the deal. We don't really care if you come or not. It's like we
feel an obligation to make sure that you know what you're losing out on.
That you hit the nail on the head, because I feel it's kind of like if somebody, and it's kind of a horrible example probably, but if you have a cure for cancer or something or whatever, you feel like you have to tell people. And again, we like cancer serious. I'm not, but I'm saying if I had a treatment and every time people took it, they didn't get the flu, I'd be like, I have to tell you. And so it's changed my life so much that I really do have an obligation. So I do a lot of it. I don't beg people. I don't inbox people. I do it through organic social. I'll explain what's my group at eXp, what's eXp. And so, it's been a huge blessing. I'm sorry that was like a 70-minute answer, but it's really changed my life. And now oh, well, I don't want to pay a cap. Yeah, my rev share in a year paid for more than my cap. I'm past 100%.
Plus you're an icon agent, right?
Now I'm going to be an icon agent. So yeah, all that to say, it's been a huge blessing. And I'm thankful that Jeremy found me, and that, even when I said, hey, go away, that he's just like, okay, then I'll just serve you. I'll just connect with you. I'll just, help you any way I can. And that's how we built it.
Because the good people in this brokerage, like you and I, we just feel that obligation. We don't want to eXp on you. We just want you to know the information and educate yourself so that you're making an educated decision. And you're not saying, like I often say, I wish I just would have been open to the opportunity 5, 6.5 years beforehand.
Bingo. People have said, "What's your one regret in the business?" And I've said I should have come 3 years prior when I joined my first brokerage. And what I
Yeah.
will say, there's an agent that I know who's coming over and not over yet, and he or she at one point was sitting at a restaurant crying with me. They said, "My team leader treats me like garbage. They're so mean. They're so rude. They act like when I ask a question, I'm an idiot." And it just breaks my heart because I'm like, you should not be treated like that. Not only should you shouldn't even be treated like that from your worst enemy, but then you're being treated like that and paying this person to be on their team.
Right?
And that's where like my heart really breaks because like people don't understand. Here's the thing. And again, me and Michelle operate our businesses differently, but like I don't have a traditional team anymore. I brought one over and I'm like, I'm not taking your money anymore. I don't want to take your money. I don't want to. And so now that I'm just like, you can come over, you get all the resources and training. You're not on an official team,
That
but
is exactly how I run mine
yeah,
as well.
yeah, great.
We are all independent agents.
Yes.
You
And
have
so
your own identity.
here's the thing, right? If you're listening to this, you're probably thinking, well, but I pay Michelle every month. No, you don't. She's going to give you all the resources, all the training, all the things, everything for free. Because now, yes, she gets compensated on the revenue share on the back end from eXp. But we've learned that when we just serve agents, connect with agents, give everything away for free, it's wild how it can grow. So that was,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was I'll shut up and you can ask
Yeah.
another question.
No,
But it's
that's
just like
okay.
it's like I have an obligation to just share organically what we're doing and how it's kind of changed my life.
Yeah, because it can change their life too, right? And the same goes for me and the agents that have joined myself. It's been all organic. I have not sat down and interviewed and tried to get them on my team and tried to recruit them. They have all come to me asking questions and saying, "I want to join you. How do I do this?" Or, with their questions, because some people have hesitations and concerns. And I was one of those agents who, at my previous brokerage, which everybody knows what it was, I always had my butt at the office every day because that's how I found success. And so that was one of the hesitations that I had in coming over to eXp was like, okay, I'm not going to have an actual office. I have 2 kids, a husband, dogs all at home. And I was kind of thinking, how's this going to work? But when I first joined eXp, I actually purchased um, a spot for an office because I was like, this is just me safeguarding just in case. But then after a year, I let my lease go and I was like, I don't even need this. I just wasted money for a whole year on this lease. And honestly, they are so brilliant. Why wouldn't I have just, started working at home and just tried it out because it is completely fine. And I can tell you at my previous brokerage, I was there for 6.5 years. I had 2 people in that 6.5 years come meet me at my office. I go
Okay,
to
are we
people's
twins?
homes.
Are we twins? Are we twins like the United States twin? When I left, my brother-in-law, he's an operator for Chick-fil-A, and he said to me, because I was like, hey, can you guys think about this and pray about this and give any advice? And he said, the most important question, well, how many clients would you lose if you're not at this big brick and mortar? Well, I didn't
Yeah,
know. Well, you probably should know before you leave. So don't just leave and join Michelle tomorrow. Like you need to run these numbers. But what I'll tell you,
yeah,
so I realized that it was one client of the 12, I'm sorry, one client of the like 25 deals in 2 years I had done to that point. One client.
yeah,
And so it's like less than 10%. And it's like, okay, well, what opportunity is here at eXp if I go? And my first year, and I'll go back to the office thing in a second. My first year at eXp, I was at eXp for 72 hours and I got a referral for a $500,000 new build. 4 referrals in 2023, 5 referrals in 2024 from workplace and the groups we have. So I want you agents listening to this, instead of saying, what will I lose? Let's ask a better question. What will I gain? And if there's not enough gains, please stay where you're at. But I think you will find out, you're like, oh my gosh, look at what Michelle gives me. Look at what the brokerage gives me. Look at all that. Like, how can I say no?
but
But
it's
here's the
also
thing.
not even like it's not even us that they're financially aligned with. I mean, there are a number of people, not to mention the everybody in eXp, it just are givers and they want to give. I mean,
Yeah.
if I had to gather up my team and say, okay, we're going to chat with John about organic social media, I'm sure you'd be like, yeah, let's do something.
I absolutely
You're
would.
not
Let's
getting
do it.
paid for that. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Like there's no compensation, but it's out of the goodness of our hearts as
Yep.
agents who just genuinely want to help.
It's so funny you say that. I have a podcast and I had 16 agents come on the podcast and just talk about our group and what we do differently and why it's been powerful. Of those 16, 3 were in my specific upline or downline. So the other 13 had no financial benefit because it's kind of like if I come on your show, I'm not saying come join me. That's like I'm saying, hey, go join Michelle, talk to Michelle. Like, and that's just out of respect. But like, so those 13 people did it with no financial benefit. And going back to the office things is it's so funny because a lot of people don't even know this. eXp gives us free access to Regis offices that are all over the place for free. I've been there 2 years. I haven't even had to use one. But in my 2 prior years or 3, whatever it was, one client met me at my office because I'm like, where are you? And they're like, we live here. I'm like, oh, this is my office. And they're like, oh, it's 1 minute away. We'll meet you there. Everyone else, all right, here's the deal. If Michelle lives in Los Angeles, is she going to say, hey, come down to downtown LA to meet at my office an hour away? Or is she going to say, hey, is there a Starbucks near you, a Dunkin'? Do you just want to jump on Zoom or a phone? And especially in a post-COVID world, we're doing a lot of this. I've even had 70-year-old clients that are like, well, let's just jump on Zoom. And I'm like, times have changed. Times have changed. Like that in a post-COVID world, they even figured out Zoom. So I mean, the office thing was one of my reservations. It's the silliest thing because I mean, even Michelle, you saying you got rid of your office. None of us need it. We might want it. It might be a luxury, but none of us need it. You did not lose clients because you let go of your lease at your office. You didn't.
No, no. And I think that realtors who are relationship based people, when you're working with a client, whether they're a buyer or a seller, you want to meet them where they're comfortable, which is their home. And you want to gain trust and you
That's
want
right.
to, you know, build that relationship with them. So meeting them in a place that they're comfortable is the best option for them and for you, right? So
Absolutely.
I mean it's kind of the better way to look at it, I think.
I totally agree with that.
Um what else can we talk about? Work-life balance. What do you find with your work-life balance? Being that you know you're a high producing agent, where have you found some balance? Because this doesn't have to all be about EXP, but you know there are some things that I've learned and boundaries that you have to learn. I don't know if you have kids or not, but
Yep.
I have a 5 and a 13-year-old, and so it's been a learning curve. My son got the shit end of the stick, I'll say, when
Mhm.
it came to trying to figure out the boundaries because mom had to work and
Yep.
you know you kind of focusing on that. But how do you find balance in this?
Yeah, we are in it. We have a 5-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter, so you know that life. We are in it. And I just think right, like the biggest thing is I was at a conference last week and we talked about, hey, let's like instead of trying to like work, I'll be with my family, most of today, right? Well, okay, instead of trying to like be on your phone getting stuff done where your kids can tell you're distracted, like, hey, you can go to the office for like my kids are 20 feet over there playing with their mom watching Disney something, right? I can go out there and then come back. I think so often realtors are like, okay, you're walking around with this all day in your house. You're not being a good dad or mom, and you're not being a good realtor. You're kind of doing neither. And
Yeah,
so I've been learning like, hey, all right, if we're done at 11 o'clock and I have a call from 11 to 12, at the 12 o'clock, let's go be with the family for an hour. You don't need your phone. Your clients are not going to die from 12 to 1.
yeah,
So that's the biggest thing. And I'm happy to dive into this if it would be helpful for your audience. The other part too is like I am posting on social media and social media is evergreen, and so like it is doing work for me when I'm not working, right? So I
yeah,
didn't get up till 8 a.m. this morning. My kids sleep in, they're angels, so I didn't get up till 8 o'clock this morning. Well, my social media post from yesterday was working all night and working today, and people were finding it.
yeah,
And and so that's kind of what's really helped me, like when I kind of share on social media, share my life, all those things, I feel like it gives me more margin. I'm not by my phone all day because I've paid Zillow for leads. I'm not having to I've kind of created a system with my lender and title person where I'm like, don't bother me unless it's an emergency, and I'm going to give you a bunch of deals. They both made 30 grand off of me last year, right? And so I just think it's prioritizing things. I think as realtors, it's very easy to say, well, I have to work, so I won't see my family. And someone two layers up from me, Louis Galt, has a great quote that says, "I didn't get into real estate to get divorced." And so, if you go make $300,000 to $500,000 last year, but your family hates you,
Not
was
worth
it
it.
worth it? Was it worth it? No. And so again, I just think the social media piece helps me a lot because I'm just like, I'm posting every day, and the people come out of the woodwork from it. So, and I'll share this. I hope it helps your audience. So last year in 2024, I did 15 listings. 12 of those people had not seen me in person physically in the last 5 years. So it's not like you run into each other at the park and you're like, "Oh, hey, you're a realtor." Like, they have not seen me. One of those couples, great friends from years ago at my old church, had not seen me since my wedding. And that was 8. This year will be 9 years ago, right? So the social media piece, I think, is like, go post, interact with that, right? So I'm not going to post right now and then like I want to interact with it for the first couple hours. But I feel, I'm kind of sideways answering the question. I feel like it gives me more work-life balance because if I just commit to posting every day on social media, spend a few minutes in community groups of local communities, and then like real estate mastermind group on Facebook for agents, I feel like the success comes. And then, right, there was someone in real estate mastermind yesterday. I'm on a plane home, and they were saying, I can't make it. I can't have success in real estate, blah, blah, blah. They were an anonymous post. I'm like, what do you mean? Post on social media every day, do these things. And they said, can I message you? Well, this morning I got a message from that person. That's an agent that could join my membership group for social media. Maybe it's someone that's interested in eXp, but I don't know. I'll just go serve them and find out. But I'm not spending 3 hours calling people. I did 10 minutes of a post and they're finding me. So
Yeah, exactly.
it is, I think for every agent out there, especially when you start producing, it is about a commitment. So I'm not
Yep.
missing kids' school, church, family events, something I promised my kids I'd take them to for work, right?
Yep.
Nothing is that important. And so I think that's, if you got kids out there, like your kids don't know anything except what you tell them, and like, you got to keep your commitment. So if I tell my son, hey, I'm taking you out to dinner for a special daddy, Caden time tonight, then I keep that. And if someone says, hey, I want you to list my house, oh, I'm busy this evening, I'm available Wednesday, Thursday, whatever day.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I recommend. Is I just try to, it goes in the calendar and it's a non-negotiable.
Yeah, for sure. I actually adopted this concept a couple of years ago where if I wanted to commit my family time, I did have a hard time for the first few years. Like, I've been in this 11 years now, and the first half the decade, I would just cater. And I finally had to just start telling people when they said, last minute, they want me last minute. It's like, sorry, I already have an appointment. They don't know I have an appointment with my husband or my kids, right? They don't need to know. They just know that I'm already committed to something, and tough luck. Here's the availability that I have and that we can work with. Your
Yep.
clients don't run you. You run your business, not your clients running your business. And that is something I took a long time to learn.
And what I would add to that too is I've done that where I'm like, I'm sorry, I have an appointment and it's with my wife or with my kids. But there's other times too. My son, his birthday's in September, and it might have been this past September, so 6 months ago or a year and a half, whatever it was. But I remember a client saying, hey, can you come over September 2nd, like from this time? And when I did the math, like, he was napping at that time from 1 to 4, and he had something from 8 to 10. And they were like, can you come over at this time? And I'm like, if I don't see him now, I won't see him till 4 o'clock. And so I think as realtors, we can be like, oh my gosh, we have to go. No, they want us. We got to like jump when they tell us to jump. And I just said, hey, I'm really sorry. Like, that morning is my son's birthday. Can we do that? She's like, oh, why don't you come the day before? Like,
Yeah.
And she was not like, and here's the thing, she was not like, oh my gosh, how dare you? And here's what you need to know, realtors. If she was, she's not a client I want to work with.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have like this matrix, and this is like my membership, but also my real estate business. There's like 4 kind of types of clients: high paying, high drama, high paying, low drama, low paying, high drama, low paying, low drama. I don't care about the price. I'm avoiding the high drama, even if they're high paying. I don't want it. I don't want it. And so I would, if you are going to be annoying and rude and complicated and you're buying $1 million property, I'm sorry, I'd rather work with this person buying a $300,000 property and they respect me and my boundaries.
Yeah,
And
or you can just refer it to somebody on your team who doesn't have
bingo.
kids, right? The referral program is amazing,
Yeah.
or the referrals that we get are amazing. I think last month alone, I think some of my team members, I ended up scooping a couple of referrals for them just because of where the referrals were. I was like, hey, you need to talk to so and so. Hey, you need to talk to so and so,
Yeah.
and we're able to, yeah.
Well, and
That's
that's
one of
another,
the things that Hermosi, sorry for cutting you off.
yeah.
Hermosi, he talks about giving it all away for free and how it comes
Yeah.
back tenfold, right?
When I think too, like imagine like you have new agents. I do this too, right? At eXp, we have Workplace, and soon we're transitioning to Slack Pro, and it'll just be amazing, like the opportunities that have come from that. I really believe I'd be intrigued on your opinion. I think if you like look at the groups and the notifications all the time, like you could probably do like $60,000 just from those referral groups every year without even leaving. Like I'm not leaving my house. I'm going to sit here and do work and just watch Workplace. You literally could get 5, 6, 7, 8
Yeah,
referrals. Or that's the thing too, right? You hand it to somebody on your team, like, well, then you're going to get revenue share from that. And imagine if they get 3 referrals from you because you tagged them in the post. They're like, I can't ever leave Michelle. She's got my back and I've gotten these referrals. And
yeah,
so it's really about like you serve people, you help people, and it all comes back. And I can tell, I mean, I try to do it. And Michelle, I can see you always lead with value. You always
yeah.
lead with value.
Yeah. And that's one thing too that I really like about eXp. And I always make mention of this because it was really during COVID that I made that decision. Actually, eXp wasn't even existent in my community or my area or my region, really. And I actually had to leave my okay, I'll back up for a second. I um I was having some conflicts with my broker at the time, just with like how backwards they were with things. Like they were fossilizing themselves, and I'm like, I want to be part of can we please go on the DDF so that other agents can promote our listings because that serves our sellers. And they were like, no, we don't want other agents having the leads. And I was like, that's wrong. Like that's not
Mhm.
okay to me. And so I talked to one of my coaches about it, and he was like, maybe you need to start considering looking at other brokerages. And I'm like, I am surprised that I do not have this brokerage tattooed on my body. That's how loyal I am because my broker was like a mom to me. And there's a story all behind that too. But so then it piqued my interest. I'm one of those people who implement right away, got off the phone with him, looked up eXp because he had mentioned eXp, said who around me in like the nearest vicinity is with eXp. One girl from my high school that I went to school with was with eXp. I called her. I had an hour and a half long conversation with her. I watched the model explained in the car on the way home, thought that was way too good to be true.
Right.
Watched it again and thought I missed something. And then I was like, okay, this sounds really good. Like, so I said to not my husband at the time yet, but my fiance at the time, I was like, I need you to watch this because this might be a huge opportunity for me. And we actually fought about it. He was like, you are at the top of your business. You've been the number one agent at this office for how many years now? Like, why would you make this transition at the peak of your career? Like, this is ridiculous. And I was like, I know it's kind of weird timing, but can you please just watch this for me?
Mhm.
And I made him watch it, and he was like, wow, this does sound really good. And he's like, let me just give me, because he knows that when I make a decision, I make it fast,
You
right?
just go, yeah.
He's like, give me 24 hours, and I'm gonna look through YouTube because he's like the king of YouTube. He'll find all the junk on it, and
Mhm.
he'll find what's wrong. And that night, I said, okay, I'll give you 24 hours. That night, I ordered my license plate, my custom plates. I started ordering my business cards. Like I was already convinced in my heart and in my mind that this was the right choice. And luckily, he didn't find any dirt really on the company. And he was like, okay, I think you might be onto
You would
something.
have
And
been making that Amazon return, right?
yeah. And so yeah, so that's kind of, and I actually had to move where I was with my real estate board. I had to actually move to a board over here because we didn't have any EXP agents at our board. And at that time, you had to have so many agents to open up EXP and all those
Yeah.
things. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to do this for my community. And I was like, I don't care if I have to leave, I'll leave. And then all the agents were like, well, what's going on? Why did you leave? Like all these things. And I was like, oh, I'm coming back. I'm coming back though with a new
Mhm.
brokerage, new brand, and we're gonna take this by storm. And so yeah, it's been such an amazing transition. And sometimes you just need to, like you had said earlier, you have to at least try it. And for me, I was like, I can't live with myself without knowing how this could have
Yep.
worked out, because what if it actually was way better than I thought,
Yep.
or way better than what people are making it out to be, right? So
Well,
I
and I love that you say what. So here's the thing. Ready? We can answer this together. Who are the people that talk bad about EXP? It's everybody
people who
outside of
aren't
EXP.
producing and aren't good agents.
like, oh, EXP is so terrible. Oh, really? Were you there? No, I read it on the internet. And what I
Yeah.
really love, so here's what's funny, and I'm sure you saw this. So like I said, I have my membership where I teach organic social media, and you don't have to be in EXP or my group. You could pay to get in, but so I have that, and there were people in there because we had a conversation one time about brokerage and I don't think Jeremy was even involved at this point. People were like, I would never ever go there, never ever. I came over. Of my I'll just say 30% of my membership at the time called me and they're like, oh, why'd you go there? Like, tell me more, like whatever. And I'm like, I thought you were like, I call them like never EXPers. I'm like,
Yeah, like that.
I thought you were a never EXPer because of like, oh, all they do is recruit. And this is what I heard. Well, yes, but now that you went over there and someone we know went, we would consider it. And so I was with someone last night and they are in my membership and joining EXP, and it's just very funny because all those people are all talk, right? I've and again, yeah, maybe there's a few people ruining it for some of us because they're in the inbox and whatever, but when you just share from an authentic and organic place, um you, the possibilities are endless. They really are. I think you've seen this in your business and I've seen this in mine. People come to us, they might come to us to talk about EXP because they know we're going to be authentic, honest about it. And then if they say, okay, cool, but it's not for me right now, we're going to be like, okay, cool. That's totally fine. We're here for you if you ever have questions. Like, and
Yeah.
I leave those people alone, maybe I don't know, it's working, right? I got 40 agents, but it's so funny, Michelle. I'll have people that'll ask about EXP, we'll jump on the phone, we'll be on for 30 minutes or an hour. Then I'll be like, yeah, but I don't want to pitch you. And they're like, can you shut up? Like literally, we're asking you questions. So I almost like that's ruined it for me because I'm so much the opposite where I'm like, no, I'm not going to be that pushy person. But then when someone's asking you, you have to like tell them. So
Yeah.
it's been wild, but it's been a huge blessing. Like, and I'm just so thankful. And I would say, like, if you struggled in 2024, I'm telling you, yeah, it was a tough year, but a lot of us within EXP and what we're doing did not struggle because we've got a massive community of almost 100,000 agents supporting each other,
Yeah.
helping each other.
And
So
even when you look at stuff like that, like even when you do have a bad year, the year that I came, this month I'll be 4 years with EXP. And I remember the first full year that I was with EXP, I was my very best year. I saved $122,000. Had I stayed at my previous brokerage, that $122,000 would have been in their pocket. Like,
right.
that is significant, and so I have a very special place in my heart for everybody that's still at that brokerage because
Oh
I'm like, "I just want you to keep your hard-earned money. I know how hard you work.
yeah.
I work hard too, like, I know."
Yeah.
And, there's other agents out there that work harder than me that are at that brokerage, and I'm like, "Why would you not want to keep that in your pocket and give it to your family or use it towards your kids' education or just retirement?" Like,
Yeah, well, and here's the thing, we all hear this. You've heard it, I've heard it. What is the number one reservation? Well, I really love my broker. Oh, wow. Well, you paid them 120,000 last year, so I hope you love them more than you love your kids and your family.
they probably don't love you as much back.
They don't love you as much back. And here's
They
the
love
thing.
you pay them.
Yep. I've had people that have left and they're like, I love my broker. They're so amazing. And then the way the broker treats them when they leave, you can tell it was a transaction. I haven't had many people leave me and the organization at eXp. I think it's been one or two. And like one was like going through some postpartum thing. So she left. But I just treat you with kindness, dignity, and respect when you leave, because you ain't never coming back if I treat you like a jerk.
Well, I just did we recorded an interview with an agent who was with eXp, who left and went to a couple of different brokerage, and now he's back, right?
Yeah.
So you never know. And sometimes you need to know that the grass isn't greener on the other side. And I'm not saying it always is, or it, this is the greener side. I don't know. It's personal to you. But it's not as though, I always say to people who are hesitant to coming over, if your brokerage loves you so much and you love your brokerage so much, if you come over and it's a bomb and you are like, this is not for me, do you not think that the door is not going to still be open for you? Like, it's still, that opportunity is probably still going to be there for you. So it's a win-win situation for you. You come over, you realize, wow, why did I wait? Because that's what most of us experience.
Yeah.
Or, wow, this sucks, I'll go back, right? Like, I'll go back to paying $100 plus $1,000 a year to you so that I can just love you.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. It's definitely a blessing to be able to share stories like this with other agents, because everybody's story is different, and so they may resonate something, John, that you're talking about, and most people already know my story, so I don't need to really share a whole lot about my story, but it's just building that trust, and from the sidelines, people are watching and they are researching, and instead of reading blogs and reading content on somebody's experience, why not watch something where people are authentically having a conversation about it, and you can tell by their facial features and their body language that this is an authentic conversation. This is not scripted. This is not, this is just us telling our stories, and we want to make sure that you're making an educated decision so that you don't end up like us. But we ended up here, which is great, but we wish we would have been here sooner, obviously.
Well, and me and Michelle didn't spend an hour before being like, well, we really need to convince people to come to eXp. Like, how do we? Like, we don't care. We really don't care. We want to build relationships and serve you. And here's what I would say. So one of the reservations, I'm sure, Michelle, you see it too. One of the reservations people will sometimes say is like, kind of like with you, with going and your association of realtors or whatever it was, right? Wouldn't let you. Well, some people would be like, well, I can't go there. There's no eXp agents. That's the best reason to go there. That's one of the best reasons to go there. You will go, and here's the thing, right? The train off the cliff for succeeding. I was like, I am going to be the guy in Lancaster, PA. There's like a married couple that they do okay over here. I'm like, I'm going to be the guy. And now to have 15, in 2 weeks, we're having like a get together where I'm just buying dinner for everyone in my downline because I want them to have that community feel, right? And I'm like, this is what happens right now. If somebody thinks about going to eXp, it's funny. I had been here about a year, and someone asked, Jennifer Botchway is our managing broker in Pennsylvania, and someone said to her, hey, who's like the person in Lancaster for a referral? And she said John Schuchman and Madison Barrios, who I was leading the group with, leading our team, but we're still partners. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've only been here a year, and the managing broker is already recommending me. I just think that stuff is so cool. And I built a reputation. I cared about people. I served people. And so that's the kind of stuff that can happen when you decide I'm going to step out in faith and go and build this. And if you're one of the first, that's actually a really great thing. It really is.
Yeah. And I mean, we've had lots of copycat brokerages pop out of the woodwork since eXp has been born, which they just celebrated their 15th year, which is amazing. There's been times where I have taken other brokerage models, and thank goodness for ChatGPT, because I use it all the time. I extract everything I can from that. For example, I did it with Real. I took all of the information that I had about Real and their model and everything, their breakdowns, financial, all those. And then I took all of eXp's. I threw it into ChatGPT and I said, from a long-term perspective and for, for somebody who's going to be in real estate for another decade or two more, which model long term is going to be more sustainable and more financially rewarding. And it'll break it down for you. You don't have to come to one of us to do the breakdown. Put it into ChatGPT and let it tell you, because it's facts and figures and numbers at the end of the day. Like, these shiny objects seem great because they're brand new and you want to get in because you want to be the Jay Kinders and the Al Stakes that have, and the Brent Goves, obviously, that have thousands of people in their organization. But you can still have that here. You just need to work at it. It's not going to be easy whether you're here or real or LPT or whatever they're called. It's
And you really, and maybe you want to build thousands, but like if you come over, I literally said I'm not going to be a recruiter, and now I have 30 to 40 agents, right? And that's just kind of what happens organically. And you don't, right? A couple hundred agents kind of changes your life if you can get those people to sell real estate.
Yes,
Right.
and that's what the business that we're in. We're in the business of real estate. We're not in the business of just wanting to bring agents in to be agents on our team. Like that's not real estate. Real estate is selling homes and helping people buy homes, right? So no, I think it's definitely an opportunity that people need to look at for sure.
Yep.
But,
changed our life.
Yeah. And you know what? I mean, even me with 10 agents in my organization, the passive income is what most people make at a part-time job for the entire year. That it's passive, and that's the thing. I mean, why would, like,
Pays my mortgage.
Exactly. When people talk about recruiting, I look at this, and now that we're kind of around the corner from the Super Bowl, all of those players were recruited. They were drafted, they were recruited. That is a compliment. People in sports and athletes, they want to be recruited. If you look at yourself as a real estate athlete, being recruited, if that's what you want to call it, should be a compliment to you, because we only want to align with people who are aligned with our values and morals and beliefs and all those things. So we're not just wanting every agent on our team. We want good people who have value.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, we should do a call sometime on your social media stuff. And we should break that down and definitely bring some value to the table there, because I believe that there's so many passive ways, and we'll have to talk about our masterminds, because I have one called It's Time to Wow 'Em, and I do it on School. I don't know, where's yours? On School?
I just have it through Kajabi and a Facebook group, and
okay. Well, we'll have to chat about that, because I would love to, if there's anything I can pour into your community. And that's the thing. That's what this is all about, is how can I pour into you and it be reciprocal on both ends of it. So,
well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And for all of you listening, I hope it was helpful. And if you're thinking about it, like, really connect with Michelle, and she'll take you to the next level.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. And we'll have you on again.
Thank you.